I think actually the fact that it looks like a combat ship.
This ship is specifically only for combat.
It feels like home to me when I come back to this ship. It's the most comfortable to fly.
There's something no nonsense about its shape.
You just want to walk in somewhere and just stomp all over everything. It's obviously great at that.
And with a wing of 4 on me, I still managed to kill him.
And ever since I did that, I feel like I kind of fell in love with combat, specifically in the Corvette.
The Corvette.
The Corvette.
The Corvette.
The Corvette.
The Corvette. The Federal Corvette.
The Federal Corvette.
The Federal Corvette.
Yo, what's up guys? Another build video for you here. A ship that is close to my heart from Elite Dangerous. That is, of course, the Federal Corvette. The first part of the video, the intro, I played some from the pilot. The pilot was a content creator, did a lot of stuff with Elite. He's done other things too. Big shout out to him. Big shout out to all the content creators that were used in his own video that I played there. That video to me is almost near and dear to my heart as the Corvette itself. In fact, that video is what made me want to really fly a Corvette, and I ended up flying it like almost exclusively after watching that video. I put thousands of hours into the Corvette itself in Elite Dangerous, and it's just I just love the ship. And I've tried now to put it into Starfield as best I can, but I'm telling you, this is by far the most challenging project I've had so far. The lines and the angles and the things that you have to work with in Starfield. Jesus Christ, I get Star Citizen out of my brain. It just does not map well onto the Corvette, but I still picked up that gauntlet. I still refuse to not pick up that gauntlet. It was something I wanted to do. I'm sort of motivated by the challenge, and here is my best effort, which I think is the best that anyone has done that has attempted to take this ship into Starfield. I've seen a lot of the other attempts, and I think they've all fallen quite a bit shorter than this does, to say the least. So here's my build, and I am going to show you exactly how I did it. Now, I've used this sort of New Atlantis and Aquila sort of flip-flop, going back and forth between those two places to get it all done. I've had no problem doing that. But I'm going to talk a little bit about some of the features and design choices I made that are perhaps a bit too subtle to sort of notice at first glance, but are still very important. So most notably, I'm going to come to here, which is where the two huge hard points are on the Corvette and Elite. Now, I knew that I wanted these particular turrets or guns to be here right from the beginning, and that's because they look the most like the huge multi-cannon from Elite. But you can actually fit 4 of these on a ship in Starfield, and I really didn't want to put them anywhere else. So I figured out a way to kind of like put them so they almost look like they're connected. And instead of 4 guns, it almost, from certain angles, it kind of looks like just 2 guns. 2 long guns, right? And the way I was able to do that was I used this particular piece here, the Demos Spine C, I flipped one around, so basically like the snap points that made them closer together. You know, closer from the front to the back one. So that kind of even increased the illusion. And yeah, I definitely wanted these in general to be kind of like a center point, a visual sort of like attractor on the design. I wanted like it to sort of like shine as like one of the more interesting features, and I think that job has been accomplished pretty well. The other thing I was really going for was I wanted the cockpit to be sort of like poking up above the armor, but at the same time not too high above it. Kind of like it the way it is in Elite, with the armor sort of like partially protecting the bridge of the Corvette. And this is the only cockpit I found that can do that. All the other ones would basically, they would sit below the line of the armor. So you basically wouldn't be able to see the other cockpits from the side, which I definitely didn't want. So yeah, there's that. I have these little pieces on the sides here, which sort of accentuate the protrusions of that sort of rough shape on the actual Corvette. The nose was definitely a bit challenging in order to sort of like bring the total aesthetics nice and smooth with the correct taper. These weapon choices here were deliberate because these are where the small hard points are on the actual Corvette. So I downsized the guns that I had before in order to make it, match the smallness. But these are actually still pretty strong guns, and they have a power usage of 4, so you can only have 3. And I hid the third one inside the ship. I'll show you that in a little bit. This particular hab lent itself well to be in this place on the ship because of the color. So you can get kind of like a black stripe going down the middle of it, which sort of creates the illusion like there's a little bit of an indentation down that groove. And there is actually an indentation down that groove. It's just so shallow you can't really tell. But this, on the real Corvette, there is like sort of like a little valley that goes down the middle here. I sort of struggled with this area for a while, tried a whole bunch of different setups, but this is the one that I felt most closely resembled in the end. Of course, these pieces on the front sort of naturally flow and are kind of a natural choice for this ship. The sort of armor plating on the bottom I have is kind of noteworthy here. So you can see the top one sticks out further away from the hull than the bottom, which is exactly the way it should be. And there is sort of like if you notice on the real Corvette, there's like kind of like these lights that look almost like a vent on the side. I found a piece that sort of matched that. I wanted to put more of these on in other places, but there was just nowhere else where they sort of fit naturally. So I just sort of gave up on putting more of them. Of course, these engines here are perfect shape. The only thing that's not super perfect about these is the slits go up and down instead of left to right, which is fine. I'm very happy that with both the overall shape of the engine and the fact that there's slits at all. The armor plates on the real Corvette sort of like extend over past the end of the engines. I was able to sort of like capture that aesthetic here as well. And if you also notice, like I sort of tried to map on the weapons to where the actual hard points are on the real Corvette. So the weapons on the real Corvette would actually be kind of more in the middle, but I was still able to get them fairly close to the middle on the side there. And then of course I have the one on the bottom in the middle, which is its large hard point. And here I have a very strong Class B particle beam. I was able to put the Docker on the bottom. So I didn't have to put a Docker anywhere else to interrupt the aesthetic. And I was able to do a lot of stuff with the habs too to make it actually livable in there. And I will do an inside tour on like I've done on other designs I've made. I've kind of like forgot about doing that in other ones, just because I don't consider interiors very important. But I do in a certain sense, and I wanted to make sure that the interiors give the ship its as many bonuses as it can have. So I want to make sure there's enough crew stations where, like, if you have a high ship command skill, you'll be able to still, fill all those seats. Right. So here's the cutaway section. This is, of course, with the grav drive. Here, I did one of those sneaky engines again in this build. So this brought the mobility up to 90. Otherwise, it would have been in the 70s. I could even throw another one on. But I'm not going to. I don't mind. Like, this is a Corvette, right? Like, the Corvette is notoriously, a slow ship. So it's kind of consistent to make it a bit slow. Although 90 is super high mobility, so whatever. Right. So basically, this piece is where you come up from the landing bay, and you can walk here into a 2x1 all-in-one. So there's your bed, and there's a couple storage rooms, and then here is a engineering. This is actually an engineering section. So not only it doubles as like the perfect cosmetic on the outside, and it's kind of cool. Like, I'll show you when I go on the ship, but it looks like the guts of the ship. It's like this is an engineering section, which is what you would expect if you were actually walking down this part of the ship. Right, so here's where I hit because I actually downsized this weapon. It's physically smaller, and the game sort of like takes that into consideration. So I was actually able to squeeze that on top of an equipment plate between the shield generator, a really beefy one, and the fuel cell. So I got the fuel cell, the shield generator, and a weapon in a 1x1 area, which is friggin' sweet. Here's a 1x1x2 generator. That's pretty well hidden. Right now I'm in New Atlantis. So these engines are bought in Aquila. This generator is here in New Atlantis. These corner pieces are New Atlantis. This little piece is in New Atlantis. These hab modules though are in Aquila. This cargo, this is where the cargo is, by the way. It's a nice big cargo thing. I use this just like I've done in other builds, kind of like putting it in the place of where a hab would be, so it's nice and flush to the edges, rotated a certain way. These pieces are also gotten in New Atlantis. These pieces are from Aquila. All these pieces are from Aquila. This cockpit is from New Atlantis. This engine here is from Aquila. That's New Atlantis, so is that. Right, and I was able to put the landing gear basically wherever I wanted. So I have a whole bunch of them. Was there 4? 1, 2, 5. 5. And I did that same thing I did with my other build where I took this piece, the one where it turns into that shape instead of like the totally different shape. So that's the version you would see kind of like in the structures pictures, but when you cycle through the variants, it turns into that. Right. Yeah, there's not a super whole bunch to it. The thing that was so time consuming about this one is like trying to get the aesthetics just right. There's a lot of subtlety to a lot of these aesthetics that you might not appreciate at first glance, but like they each one gets it a little closer to looking like the actual Corvette. Underneath the guns here is a 1x2. That's where a lot of cruise stations are, which I always like to have that close to the bridge, just for logical coherence sort of reasons. But yeah, that's pretty much it. Put equipment plates on each of these to cover up what would be an otherwise break in the color scheme. All right, so I'll do a tour of the inside. Some beds. This goes to the front of the ship. See how it looks like engines and machinery and stuff like that? I think that's perfect for this area. It's just a 1x1. And down here, some more beds. I like to have lots of passenger slots on my ships, just in case I ever want to do a passenger mission. Oh, went the wrong way. This is where
got my attention, Captain.
The main crew is.
You've really pissed me off.
Sarah is bugged out, and she's like even more of a you-know-what than she normally is. She just is permanently angry no matter what I do. Anyway, here's the bridge. Now, obviously, the bridge cockpit on the inside is not anywhere remotely close to the actual Corvette, but I'm more concerned about the outside. The outside with the proportions and everything, it's as perfect as it gets. But you know,
If you have something
and that's one of the reasons I don't really care about the interiors of ships and mapping them onto the way the interiors are of the ships I'm trying to emulate. It's just because, like, you know, the interior is kind of like you have to choose one or the other. You can't have both most times.
You again.
And I'd way rather have the outside look right than the inside. Obviously, I think anybody would say that. So maybe I'll leave it off with the takeoff animation. But yeah, guys, I hope you liked it. And if you're going to make your own Corvette, enjoy.